Hey, what's going on everyone? How you guys doing today? Welcome back to the Steve Rising video. And in today's video, we're going to be taking a look at the other character that was released along Hellhest. And that is Rosie 11. And just like Hellhest, he is also a bow character. He actually runs double bow, just the regular bow on his primary, and then the auto crossbow on his heavy. Meaning that he's going to be able to deal with both piercing as well as rapid fire shinkas, which is definitely going to make him very good. His kit I also feel is very straightforward and also very fluid. I actually had a lot of fun playing him. So in today's video we're going to be taking a look at his abilities, going over them, explaining them and how to get the most out of them. We'll talk about the weapons and the ones that you should be running on him. And then lastly we'll talk about some of the artifacts that I think are going to work pretty well with him and all the shields he's going to be applying. So hopefully you guys enjoyed today's video, and if you guys do, remember to leave a like and subscribe to the channel in case you guys aren't already for some more Destiny Rising content. Now we're going to be starting off with the Relic abilities. For the passive, he has Ionic Protection, and this is one of the things that's going to give him tons of overshields. Whenever your abilities hit targets, they grant 1 point of passive energy, up to a maximum of 9, and that passive energy is going to convert it into overshield at a 1:90 ratio once every 2 seconds for 6 seconds. And this is essentially how it looks like, so we're going to hit this servitor with one of our abilities. As you can see, our bar has filled up. And those charges are the ones that are going to constantly turn into our overshield. It also just refreshes the timer on the overshield just constantly. Meaning that if we're timing them right, we can pretty much just always have an overshield the whole time. We never actually run out of overshields as long as we're constantly timing these correctly and watching our meter. So you're always going to have a bit of overshield going as you hit enemies with your abilities. So having overshields on this character is very easy. Now for our very first signature ability, we have the Arc Cage. He throws forward an Arc Orb up to 50 meters, and once it hits a combatant or terrain, it will explode, pulling in combatants within an 8-meter radius, and inflicting confine for 6 seconds. This is actually really nice, because not only are you pulling them into the actual barrier, you're also stopping them from actually leaving if the enemies have any sort of like movement ability. And the Arc Cage is gonna last for 12 seconds, and it can also block incoming projectiles. Now you can definitely shoot the things inside the cage. If you're inside the cage, you can shoot outside the cage. It essentially just stops enemy projectiles, but it won't stop yours or your teammates. So this ability is gonna let you group the enemies in one area, so then you can hit them with your other ability and really take advantage of your abilities, as well as hit multiple enemies at once. The barrier is also very good at you stopping some big enemies from shooting you. Like if you throw your barrier on top of a Shinka, the Shinka just won't be able to attack you while you essentially like stun it. So it is not only like something that can help you group of the enemies, but it can also deny damage from the enemies themselves, which is it's pretty cool. You can even like put it on some bosses and they'll take a little bit to break it, where you can just be safe and shoot them. But the more damage the bosses do, the less useful that will be. So most of the time you just have using it to set up your combo, but you can also use it for use making it easier to deal with like certain big enemies. Now our second signature ability is Threat Flow, and it lets you fire 4 arc threads in a fan-shaped range. Because it does come out on a fan-shaped range, the closer you are to the enemy, the better, and the more likely you actually are to hit the enemies with multiple of your arc threads. So try to be a bit closer when using this ability to get the most out of it. And each thread is going to be dealing some arc damage, as well as giving you some health and overshield. And this ability also has 2 charges, so that's pretty nice. And this is going to be the main ability that you're going to be building up the stacks and essentially just keeping up those overshields with, as well as just putting some damage out there. Like I said, because it does come out in a fan shape, let me actually show you. The closer you are, the better it is, because you might actually end up missing some. Now his super ability is the Photoelectric Gate. This is a big wall that essentially just blocks projectiles, and it has a lot of health. I have not seen this thing be broken yet, but a couple of times did get a little close. And while the gate is active, casting the super again launches the gate forward, dealing arc damage as well as confining combatants. So the gate not only is a defensive ability, it can actually turn offensive. And since the gate is actually just huge, it can hit a bunch of enemies all at once. Now you don't want to send out the gate right away, because the longer the gate actually remains on the battlefield, the more damage it's actually going to deal. And it gets 100% additional damage, after being on the battlefield for 8 seconds. And whenever the gate expires and it hasn't been destroyed, it will automatically just go forward and basically do a whole lot of damage and confine the enemies. I actually like this ability. It's kind of goofy, but it's actually a lot more useful than you would think. Being able to just stand behind this wall and just shoot at enemies is very nice, especially if you need to like pick somebody up or you're just getting overwhelmed with ads. You can just put this up and then you start shooting everything. And afterwards, whenever the wall's done, goes forward, confines enemies, damages them. It's pretty nice. So your super, while it's not the flashiest abilities, it can definitely be very useful. And you want to send it forward, just remember to press your super again. And it'll just go forward immediately. Our weapon masteries, Ionic Cascade. Whenever Ionic Protection performs an energy conversion, it will grant your bow or your auto crossbow 1 stack of weave, and you can hold up 3 stacks. And whenever you shoot targets, it will consume 1 stack and generate a lightning strike. Now the lightning strike is going to do damage in a 2-meter radius. So this is not just a single target damage type of ability. This actually does have some AoE, which is pretty nice. And it helps give you a bit more AoE damage. Even though it's not a lot, it is still pretty nice. So as long as you keep activating like energy conversion, you're constantly going to have this, just constantly doing some AoE damage. And since we're constantly going to be putting enemies very close together because of our ability, this is something that we can just use very effectively. Now one downside of this is that since it's tied to your conversion, because it only happens every 2 seconds, it cannot keep up with like the auto crossbow, so you're not like gonna be proccing it like all the time. But with the bow, it's very easy to use consistently, apply it, basically with like every single shot. Now for the relic traits, the first one is pulling strings, and this is gonna allow your thread flow to over-penetrate combatants, so you can just basically hit more things with your actual ability. This is very nice because again, we're gonna be grouping them up, and so we want to hit as many of them with that as possible, so we can just damage more of them and just get even more energy. Now our second relic trait will make it so whenever our super takes damage, we actually generate another stack of our passive, just so we can use that a little bit more. This one's pretty nice, especially because our gate is usually taking a lot of damage. And the final one, when our health is below 50%, gaining an overshield will also heal us for 50% of the overshield's health. This one is just a bit more healing, just a bit more survivability. Most of the time, you won't see that, except if like in some of the very hard content, because most of the time, you're just going to have an overshield and your health basically never gets touched. So that's something you rarely see, unless like I said, you're playing like much harder activities. Most of the time, you're going to be pretty healthy. But it's very nice to have. It's definitely going to help in some of those harder activities. Now, since he uses an auto crossbow and a crossbow, he does have both the Trinity Ghoul and the Mahamajuri available to him. And I just kind of been wearing the Mahamajuri. It is just such a good exotic. If you have it, I recommend that you run this one. It is just so good. Even though the ad clear with the Trinity Ghoul can be useful, I ended up just kind of resetting it and instead putting my resources into the Mythic Bow. Now, the Mythic Bow does have some pretty good rolls. For the second perk, I definitely recommend Ensure Yields, so you always have some extra damage on your bow. And then for this first perk, either Annihilation for the extra damage, or the Archer's Tempo for the reduced draw time, are both going to be really good. And Archer's Tempo just makes the weapon feel a lot better. Your draw time being cut in half definitely makes this weapon just feel a little bit more snappy. And it only requiring a precision hit means that even when you're not killing enemies, you're constantly going to be having this buff up, and it's just very easy to activate. Now when it comes to the artifacts that we're looking for, we want to take advantage of his strengths, like always having an overshield, as was mainly going for weapon damage increases. Our abilities do not do a lot of damage themselves, so we're basically just looking for weapon damage increases. For this very first one, Ring of Abundance or Ring of Healing are both going to be pretty good. We're always going to be protected over shields, so we're always going to be healing, or it's just going to make our healing and our overshields stronger. I think this one right here, it's probably going to be the best one. For this second one, there's not really one that I feel like stands above the rest, because we just have so much survivability already built in that we never really get too low on health. But the Ring of Safeguarding is going to be nice. This is going to give us an overshield whenever our shield is broken. and it does last for 6 seconds with a very short cooldown, so this can actually proc very often. Now because this one activates whenever our shield is broken, which is less than 50% of our health, it means that whenever it does proc and it gives us this shield, it's gonna turn some way into health, allowing us to stay alive whenever we really need that health and shield. The ring conversion can also work because we are going to be healing as well on top of the overshield that we're getting, so it does allow you to get even more overshields, so this is going to be another good option. Now for the third one, I'm going to recommend our good old friend Unbearded Fury because of all the overshields, so we're always going to be able to take advantage of that big weapon damage increase. And because most of our damage is going to come from our weapon damage, this is going to be like the perfect artifact for this third slot. Another option could be the Ring of Courage. This is going to give you some damage whenever you're protected by the overshield, as well as some damage resistance. So this one is also an option that you can go as well. Both of these I think are going to be really good. But Inverted Fury does give you a higher damage increase for your weapon specifically. And for this final one, the Ring of Reflection or Inverted Vengeance are both going to be very good. They essentially just increase your damage as you have an overshield, and the bigger your overshield, the more damage you're actually going to gain. This one is fantastic, and it basically plays into all of your strengths. And that's what I'm going to recommend that you run on Rosie 11. He's a very fun character. Maybe not the best character, but his gameplay loop is very fun. His gameplay style actually kind of reminds me a little bit of Ikora, except with a bit more survivability, thanks to like all the overshields we essentially have. But just the combo, I think, is what really gives me the feeling of like playing Ikora essentially. Just because you bring everything together, and then you hit them with your ability, and then you get a ton of overshields, you get the lightning strikes, and it's just a good gameplay loop. It definitely makes the character satisfying and just fun to play. So hopefully you guys have enjoyed today's video. Let me know what you guys think about this character in the comments below. Do you guys like him? Have you guys gotten him? I know some people have been having a bit of issues actually getting him. They're getting Hellhast actually faster than they are getting Rosie, which is very interesting. Anyways, thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.